Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth, and I am back today to talk a little bit about what I see for the future starting in 2020. And I am not going to talk, just so you know, I'm not going to talk about really specific events in this video. This video is really meant to be kind of an eye-opener. So for those of you who are ready for some serious homework, then this is the video for you. For those of you who are not ready and you don't want to know and it's going to scare you and it's going to freak you out, this is not for you, okay? I couldn't really think of a way to deliver these messages in a way that's going to be tone appropriate for those of you who kind of either stay in a fearful space or can become drawn into a fear space where you're afraid of things that are going to happen. So I'm just gonna kind of break things the way I normally do. I talk about things the way I normally do, and if you're one of those people that easily becomes scared about things, then maybe this is not the video for you. That said, I don't want people to think that or be in a place of disempowerment when it comes to the future. I have always said, and I will continue to say, that we do have free will. I believe in free will, and I do believe that we all can shift things, and things are constantly shifting. Things are constantly moving. So, there are certain things that are set in stone. In universal terms, nothing is set in stone, but I believe there are some things that are more concrete than others. That said, I just want to kind of jump right into the things that I really want to talk about for future. For those of you who watched me for a long time, thank you so much for being amazing, supportive fans and followers. I appreciate it so much. You can follow me on Instagram. That link is going to be down below to find out what I'm doing in my personal life and what I'm doing in general. I do post on there if I am going to be posting on my channel. Things with my channel are hit and miss because I do have a full-time job, so please bear this in mind. I do want to say really quickly before I jump in that I am still doing private readings. I do them part-time, so if you'd like to get a private reading, definitely check out my website, oracledaphne.com. The link is below. My website is back online and running fine, so I just wanted everybody to know that's where I was at with things. So yeah. So I want to really start this video with talking about what kind of made me want to make a 2020 video and talk about the future. I have in the past done, I did them a long time ago actually, some videos that were kind of a snapshot of the year ahead and what that was going to look like. But recently my guides showed me really what we're up against as society, as a country, as the world, okay? And I want to talk, about energy here for a moment, because some people perceive energy different. We're all going to perceive it to be different. I do want to kind of rewind a little bit too, back to when I felt similar energy. I think it was back in 2015, it could have been 2016. I did a Lightworker Symposium video with some other psychics. I can link that also too for you guys to watch if you're interested in watching, if you haven't watched it already. At that time, I felt very much called because I felt that there was some shifting, there's some negative energy that was really shifting things, and it had this kind of grip on things. And at that time, I was like calling people together and I was like, we need to talk about this. We need to figure out a way to kind of shift it back. And I've come around now to feeling like after several years have passed, that is actually more relevant than ever for people to really be aware of this kind of, like you could say, iron grip that I don't even like to say the word darkness, but darkness has on things. And what that means for you. So essentially what that means for everybody, and it's not per sign here. I'm not going to talk about signs. I'm not going to break it down into timestamps. This is for everybody. This message is for everybody, and I hope that people understand where I'm coming from here with it. So back then, I really was like, okay, I saw like a lot of darkness, and I was like, okay, we have to do something. We have to shift it. What are we going to do? I brought, some people together, and we talked about it in the video. I myself did some light work. One thing that like everybody needs to start doing like today, which they can easily do, is light a candle. Everybody light a candle. Say a prayer, light a candle, and call in some light and say, whatever you want to say that you think is going to add to positivity, that's going to add to the light. Because essentially what needs to happen is that the dark energy needs to kind of get pushed back. It needs to get pushed back in a sense where we're not necessarily fighting it, we're just pushing it back, we're balancing it. Because right now, it's really imbalanced. And what that's going to mean for everybody, essentially, is the complete destruction of this planet. That is heavily where we're going. Actually, one of the things that concerns me recently was that there was something that made me start to feel, this energy of people becoming actually more robotic. And I had said in one of my videos that there were going to be 4 potential outcomes for the planet. One was robotics, which I didn't think was actually going to happen. One was complete destruction, which I did think was going to happen. I still do. 3 was kind of like a shift, where it was similar to what we kind of are understanding as present energy, similar to this energy, only a shifted energy, and then a utopia. And right now, I actually think that a future robotics is probably going to happen first. I can't really go into how this is going to take place because I don't want to put any energy out there for certain companies or for certain energies and entities that would gain from me putting energy out there towards them. Okay, of how that could happen, but essentially there was a commercial. I was watching a video, and there was a commercial, and I don't really want to go into which commercial it was because again, it's putting energy out there that's negative. And the commercial is, you're driving by, and all these people are on their cell phones. Every single person has a screen in front of them. Okay, that is 2 steps away from robotics, from what I would say. Where you're being controlled by a machine, or you've become the machine and you're controlling other machines, or both. That's like 2 steps away. That's like not even 2 steps. It's probably more like 1 step. The fact that I think what did it for me, there was something that happened, and I felt like people were starting to become less human. People had lost their compassion. People had stopped caring. People had stopped showing love to other people. And I felt this energy of just this iron kind of robotic kind of thing. And I do want to say, in another timeline, robotics has already happened. It's already happened. So in this timeline right now, I think a lot of people are trying to prevent that from happening, but I do feel like because we're becoming less human, we're becoming more flat, we're living our lives on a flat screen, we're living essentially a controlled life, where it's almost like we have to break away from a screen in order to plant a flower, in order to have the energy to plant that flower. We have to break away, we have to make a real effort just to do our dishes, just to get our laundry done. We have to make a superhuman effort just to show up to work and not be on our cell phones. It's kind of just one of those things that is 2 steps away from a robotics future, and essentially the robotics future is almost here. But the next step after robotics is the destruction. And it's so interesting because there's so many movies out there that kind of portray that as something that's, very possible. It's everything becomes machines, and then what do? We all just, go after each other, and then there's nothing. So this is kind of just an eye-opener for everyone. This video is meant to be an eye-opener for every person, regardless of your sun sign or rising or any of that. This is like an eye-opener, okay? Some of you already know that this is happening. Most people are conscious of this, but having more conscious awareness of kind of where things are going is super important, because then you can break away from the screen and you can say, okay, like, what's really happening here? So that's like the first big part of it. The first big part of this video was really meant to talk to you about how we're going to robotics first, and then we're going to self-destruction. And I also wanted to say that things can shift and change. We can push this energy back. This energy can be delayed. So instead of complete robotics happening in, say, 5 years, it could happen in 20, or not at all, depending on how much we are aware of this and how much we're like, okay, this can't happen. And the thing that's worrisome about the robotics future is that it goes back to nobody caring. To nobody caring what happens, to a complete lack of empowerment, to a complete lack of any kind of self-drive or goals, or like trying to like do something good on this planet, or it's almost like our energy has been drained and kept at a certain vibration where they kind of want it to stay, and then so that they can control everybody. Even people that are like at a higher vibration and know things are happening, they're still being controlled. Everybody's being controlled. So essentially what has to happen is people need to light a candle today, start understanding like, okay, we got to push this energy back. We have to balance this energy somehow. Anything that you can do that's going to add something to this planet immediately, like today. Don't wait for 5 years to plant a garden. No. Like this needs to happen today. Okay. It needs to happen. It absolutely needs to happen. I don't want my kids growing up in a robotic society where they've lost their humanity. They've lost their sense of emotional connection to the planet, to plants, to animals, where they've lost their love, their kindness. I don't want that to happen. And that's what's happening. It is real. To me, it's absolutely possible. It's a reality that people are not aware of. Okay, so this brings me to like the second portion of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the denial. The denial and the illusion that essentially that we're all living under. Okay, unless you have had a spiritual awakening, in which case this is not really applicable to you, because you've had a spiritual awakening, you understand, okay, that that their illusion is not, what you've been told and what you've been taught to believe is not how things actually are. So how things actually are is that we are under I wanted to say a spell, but you could think of it as a spell, or you could think of it as just like a very strong energy of darkness that's kind of gotten more as time has progressed. And really the ultimate goal of this darkness is to destroy things, is to drain everything that there is to drain until there's absolutely nothing left. There is no balance for it. It's like this absolute greed, absolute hunger that's never satisfied. Think of like your worst enemy, what they're like, and then multiply it by like 1,000,000, what that person would be like. That's what you're dealing with. That's what everybody's dealing with. So I don't have the answers to like snap my fingers and make the world like come out of its hole. But right now everybody's in this hole, and the worst part is that they don't care. Nobody cares. They just care that they can get on their cell phone and text whoever and try to work on their love life and try to get ahead in career and try not to starve. Like that's like the main thing. For most people, and like there are, and I'm not discounting the massive amount of people that are trying to make this planet. There are people that are trying to make this planet better, and they are contributing to this planet, but it's not really enough to balance out this negativity. It's not. And it's not enough to wake people up out of their illusion and out of their denial. To me, it's a deep denial of what's really happening. And I feel like denial comes from not wanting to face it, not wanting to see it, not wanting to understand it, which is kind of like a natural protection, because then if you're facing something, then you can be afraid. And this is the part of the video which, again, a lot of it is, when I look at this amount of darkness, I become scared myself. It's scary for me. And I'm psychic. And I see all kinds of shit all the time. And that part is what scares me. That part, the fact that there's this amount of darkness, is what makes me want to shit my pants. And what upsets me is that nobody cares. And that's not okay. And when I say nobody cares, it's not like nobody cares about each other. It's just like nobody really cares about making a change. Nobody really thinks that anything bad's going to happen, so they don't actually do anything. And I've talked to several people who said that if they knew the world was going to end tomorrow, that they wouldn't make any change. Nothing would change. Their entire life would not change. And that scares me too. Now, I have met people that have said, yes, their life would change, and they would absolutely make changes to do something that would bring about something good. But I feel like a lot of people do feel like they become so fearful that there's a sense of helplessness. But again, it's like, it's time, and I'm saying this like wholeheartedly, it is time to get up off our butts, to become empowered, to get our energy back, to figure out, okay, like, what do we want for our future? And how are we going to make it happen? And don't wait to make it happen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't wait. Which brings me to things that are going to absolutely need to happen starting in 2020 and going into the future. One is that anybody who wants to make it with this energy being the way it is you're going to have to work on becoming like the fittest you've ever been, in the top fittest like condition you've ever been, because our water is going to disappear, our food sources are going to disappear. We're going to have to figure out how the fuck we're going to feed ourselves, how we're going to clothe ourselves, how we're going to take care of ourselves. And you can't do that when you're sick. You can't do that when you're dependent on medications and drugs. You can't do that when you're codependent to somebody else to provide for you. So there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to make it past a certain juncture. They're just not going to, because they're not healthy, and they're not going to become healthy. So people that are watching this video, number one, prioritize your health. Prioritize it like today, starting today. Do something that's going to make you change into the most fit you've ever been, whether that's actually joining a gym. And I know that people talk about, stuff like that all the time in the beginning of the new year, making a New Year's resolution, people not keeping it. I don't care. Like, this is not about, this is kind of like do or die. You're gonna have to get healthy, you're gonna have to get fit in order to make it into the future, essentially, if you're gonna want to shift the energy. And actually, when you are taking care of yourself, you're naturally raising the vibration of the planet, which we need right now. So whether you actually think you're gonna live past a certain point doesn't matter. If you're taking care of yourself, that's showing yourself love, which means that you're going to be able to show other people love, which means you are helping the planet. Number one. Number two is you're going to have to start saving all of the seeds. Everything that you consume that has a seed, you need to save it. You need to learn how to cook your own food. Those of you who do not know how to cook your own food, you're going to have to learn how to cook your own food, how to grow your own food, and get a water filter. If you can buy any property, any land that can sustain plants and animals, that's what you're going to want to do. Immediately. Starting today, going forward, save up to buy a property to do it. I feel like I want to talk a little bit more back to the illusion and denial again, because I feel like that's going to be the biggest thing. Overcoming the denial that these kinds of things aren't necessary, that this isn't going to happen, that this darkness doesn't have its grip in it, and it does. In my opinion, it does. Now, why do not other people talk about this is because it's hard to see it when it doesn't want you to see it, okay? Number two, right now, especially in the beginning of the new year, people want to hear only happy things, how this year is going to be amazing, how it's going to be great, and how they're going, everything positive is going to happen. I do also want to talk really quickly about how good things can happen, and that 2020, not unlike every other year that we've gone through in your lifetime, good things can happen, bad things can happen, and it's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to be where, just like your normal life. Some people are so deep into the illusion, so deep into I want to say the fairy tale mindset that everything needs to be in their mind, that everything's going to be amazing and that everything's going to be great. And maybe it will, and maybe it will manifest that way. But for some people, I think it's not about having a positive mind frame right now. It's about understanding that there is serious problem with the energy and it needs to shift. Now, positivity going into 2020 is great. And I'm not saying to not be positive, but any kind of denial of the fact that it's out there is where things need to shift. You can still have a positive mind frame when there's darkness, when it's dark outside. You can believe that things can get better, and that is positive. Okay, so I want to say that. It's very important you guys hear me say that. So my last few things I want to talk about, I want to basically briefly mention some things that you can do to question yourself, to check yourself. Okay. What is it that you're in most denial about? What is it that you're actually most fearful about happening? And what is it that you don't want to face? Those are the things that are going to really help you determine where you're at. What is it that you're procrastinating about? And how can you get off your butt? How can somebody seriously ass kick you into a different, zone in your mind? Because it should scare everybody that we're going to be even more controlled than we already are. That robotics is a possibility. That this planet is going to get destroyed and the life is going to get sucked out of it and food's going to be fucking hit or miss, How is that even possible? And you question whether that's possible. That it's a slow, gradual thing. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but that's the predominant energy right now. Is this darkness that we're dealing with, and it needs to be dealt with. People need to start to see it and understand that it's there, and that we need to actually start to shift it, or these realities will absolutely come to pass. And it's enough to scare the shit out of anybody, any psychic especially. So, I feel like there's this energy, and I think it's generational too, of kind of status quo. Now, status quo is kind of good in some ways because it kind of holds the space. It kind of keeps things the same, where things are not changing too much. But when this whole generation passes away and there's no more status quo, and the planets are going to start to cause a lot of chaos and havoc because of their shifting shit that's going on, and influencing things and controlling things. And the planets do control things, because it's like sitting next to a person who you don't necessarily like, who's got some really funky, weird energy, and you just want to leave them, but you can't. That's what the planets are doing. So yeah. I think I lost my train of thought there. Oh, I really wish that I could get my train of thought back. I don't even remember what I was saying. I was really talking about stuff. Breaking it down for everybody. I don't remember. Facing things. I think I was talking about facing things, and we don't really know how things are going to shift. And I was talking about the planets shifting, and a certain generation passing away, and once that stops, once the people that are holding that space change, then a lot of things can happen very quickly in kind of a domino effect. But it's already in place. This stuff has been geared up for a long time. If you're watching this and you're checking your cell phone 5,000 times a day, you're already being controlled. You're already like I said, one step away from being a robot, essentially, and controlled by somebody else. And I want everybody to feel empowered to take their power back, and to start to embrace life again, and start to really understand what's being taken away from them. And to start to care. That maybe their life isn't going to be the way they want it to be, because it's being controlled by somebody else. And whether that's in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, or 10 years' time, nobody wants that to happen, trust me. I don't want that to happen for myself, and I sure as hell don't want that to happen for my future children, and I don't have children. But I don't want that to be that way for them. I really don't. Like, okay, fuck it, we're all fucked, like, it's not gonna happen, And then go right back to the way things were before. I don't want that to happen. So, but I can't control that, I can't. And I thought about many times, maybe people aren't ready for this. Maybe people don't want to hear this. Maybe people are not in that space. Now, again, if you continue to watch this video and you still are not ready, then there's nothing I can do. You're just not ready. And I do respect that. If people are not ready to hear something, then there's nothing I can do to change that. But I'm really hoping that you're going to take something from this. I want you to message me in the comments if you do light a candle, okay? I want you to light a candle and email your best friend to light a candle, and to say a prayer for this planet, and to say a prayer for everybody, and so we can shift the darkness back, so that we can kind of... I don't necessarily feel like, again, we're going to be able to defeat it. I feel like we're going to be able to delay it right now. Now, maybe if in time everybody starts to get off their ass and start making shit happen, then, the light will become back into focus, and we'll have a chance at either utopia or something similar to what we have now, but we're not going to become robots, okay? That's the last thing I think I want, or anybody wants. So we need to start to care. We need to start to realize shit's happening. We need to start to realize we're being controlled. We need to start to realize what our power is, what your light is, and use that light. Use it for good. Use it to help this planet. Use it to help somebody else. I think that's a great place to leave off. So thank you so much for being supportive followers and fans. I know this is a lot to handle, a lot coming from me especially, but hopefully you took something from this, and I wish everybody the best. I am going to light a candle. I have 2 candles going right now, but I'm going to light another one, and every day from here on out, I light a candle. I say a prayer. I keep candles lit. I want things to shift, and I want things to change, and I want things for everybody to be, at least have a chance at life, at real life. So that's all I'm going to say. I send everyone big hugs, big kisses, and I will talk to you guys again soon. I wish you guys the best in 2020, okay? Lots of love, lots of happiness, lots of prosperity, and hopefully we can all pull together and make some positive changes. So thank you guys so much. All right, take care. All the best. Bye.